on this computer.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
We're having a bit of a technical moment here.
Yes.
But yes.
So
we're back.
We're
talking
back.
about wisdom for menopause and beyond.
Wisdom for menopause and beyond.
And Anne brought up something recently, and it was, we were having this kind of conversation about she tried to see her GP, or you were starting the process of seeing your GP, and your husband's been trying to see his GP, and all this has been going on for weeks trying to get there. And I said, I don't really have a problem with it because I'm in a little town and you're in a big city. But you were talking about, so what happens now if it's part of the normal conversation that people have, that moan about you can't see your GP, you can't get a GP's appointment, da 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 da.
Whereas it used to be
normal.
Yeah, it used to be quite unusual.
Yes.
So people usually either could turn up and make an appointment if they couldn't ring.
Yeah.
And then we got into this mad world of having to fill in 28 pages of a something, and then somebody, and then we had these very strange things that happened, these awful things where somebody had an ear infection and they were just given something or the other, and it turned out that it was something really different because the GP wouldn't see them. And then it's got more and more and more normal. So we got into this very world where
we're not going to go into politics of this. I don't why it's got to this point.
That's not the point. That's, as what they say, is outside the remit. It's kind of over there. It's just noticing how people react, really, that I was saying.
It's become a part of our conversation.
When you used to say, this was awful, we're now going, oh my God, you found a GP. Because
you can see the GP.
You can see the GP. So I was talking to somebody to do it.
Round,
So one of the aspects that I'm somebody that sometimes I look at the other side of what something can bring. Is there something positive from something bad? And I was thinking how because people used to have first line of always seeking medical help and medical support. So everything was the doctor. I need to go on a diet, I'll see my doctor. I need to do this, I'll see my doctor. I don't know if I'm pregnant or not, I'll see my doctor. So it was always,
I don't know if I'm in menopause or not,
I'll see my doctor. So everything that kind of happened that moved the world, it was like the first line support. So whilst there's obviously bad things happening that, as I will underline again, are outside the scope of this for the time being, this conversation, I was saying, is there benefit that we don't always turn immediately for something? Is it giving people like, if I can't see my doctor, is there something else that I could do? Does it force people to look inwards and think, oh, actually, my friend went to see a herbalist and that seemed to sort of
acupuncturist,
or an acupuncturist, or the same thing, or I know I work as a homeopath, but I see a lot more people that say it was impossible to go over there, so I've come here and I'm trying this, and actually this is working for me. So
people are more, so it's kind of in a way born out of what looks like necessity.
Yes.
You know, and it's that kind of thing of sometimes you kind of think, is that a, you know, we don't want it to be that way. In an ideal world, you should be able to, that should be part of your menu of choices. But at the moment, if people think that particular bit of the smorgasbord has been taken away, well, actually, maybe I'll look at the other dishes on the table then.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. And I also think, I mean, we're also discussing the history of the availability of medicine.
Yes.
With the National Health Service in this country and so on. But it was almost, you said something really interesting, that when it was first invented, created.
Yes. Good old Nye Bevan, we love him.
He suggested that at first you'd need to spend this much money. But because people would then get healthier and healthier, the NHS funding would go down and down.
Right. They thought people would be much healthier, so we'll need to spend less each year. That was what they thought would happen.
Which is in a way, you think that's weird, but makes perfect sense.
But instead, what's happened is, because people who wouldn't normally have gone to the doctor because they couldn't afford it, or because they probably died, actually, they could now afford to go to the doctor. So then what happened is, that's how you get that rising thing. So in a weird way, it looks like we become iller as a society, not better as a society.
But then again, we've got, and I'm not going into how much medicine's improved or changed or diagnosis, because again, it's over there. But it's very much that instead of the smorgasbord, good, bad pronunciation, but instead of the smorgasbord, we then got medicine.
Yes, that was the answer.
And then a few weird people. So whereas before we kind of had a smorgasbord with a little bit of medicine, then we got medicine, and then we had nothing but medication.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
Which is the only thing, which kind of does reflect back into what we say about menopause. It's like we've medicalised menopause, we've medicalised giving birth, we're medicalising things that perhaps should have more of an option around.
Whereas before you might have, I mean, well, obviously originally you might have gone to the wise woman, who had gone out and gathered herbs by moonlight or whatever it was, you know, and or that was part of the deal, or if there were certain things that you wanted to do, and in a way it didn't matter whether it really worked or not. And we've all, you know, let's not go in, because we go off down a rabbit hole. No. Is it about all in the mind or not? Because there were certain things where people said, oh, if I wanted to go and get pregnant, I went and did this, and I turned around 3 times, and I kind of, you know, put a wish into the well and all these things, and then I got pregnant. So it looks like that worked. And I think that's the difficulty when people do talk about complementary medicine. They always put it in that bracket, which is not the case.
No. And again, what is interesting is this sort of wider range of things that people are looking at, and not always medicalising, which they certainly have in some other countries. So in France, you have a couple of things. In India, it's homeopathy or medicine. It's
China would be acupuncture, I guess.
In China, it will definitely be acupuncture, herbs, those sorts of things. South America, you know, so the countries, they still have options to have this medicine. But I just thought how much is bringing back down to us having choices again. And I know we'd like the choice some of us would like is not available, but again, we're not doing that. But it's just this choices of perhaps bringing it back to personal choices, personal responsibility. So when we face something, it's like, what would I like? What do I feel works? And exploring, perhaps finding what you like.
Yeah, and I think that's also a thing that we talk about to do with menopause, in the sense of whatever thing, however you experience it, if it's not working for you, if your body's not, whatever it is, if your life is, you know, up and down, rocky, whatever, and something's getting in the way of you actually living it the way you want to live it, what would work for you to address those particular areas, you know? So it's the same thing, you know, and you know me, because I will try anything, because I don't care. And in fact, I know you get frustrated sometimes, because she's trying to explain to me the science of it or what's behind it, and the rest of it. I'm saying, I don't care about why it works.
No.
If it works for me, I'm going to use it. If it doesn't work, fine. But I don't want to stop other people.
No, but it's nice
using that just because it doesn't work for me.
No, but it's nice to have that perhaps conversation of what things do, and this might be something that we can cover if we can get people that
you have quite a scientific brain in a lot of ways, that you like to have, you look at things and you investigate things and you get it all sorted and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of going, just give me the tablets. I mean, this is what I was like when she was my homeopath. You know, just don't tell me, just you know, hello, I'm just going to tell you.
I think,
you know, so
and actually, as a bit of an offshoot while we're thinking, I think it would be kind of nice to perhaps invite some people that could talk about just different aspects of what they do, because I think this is, I mean, out of all adversity, like, comes something positive, and it might be just this time now to have a little explore and think, instead of just being, I do this is what works. It might be thinking, and what I've found is when I explore something else, you think, actually, I had to do that, but it's actually worked better than if I had done that. So it's
because we often find, I always kind of say things like, when I look at my life and I think the times when I've had, you know, these incredible, awful experiences, crashes and all the rest of it, what's come out of that, it's almost like the worse it was, the better the effect. So here's a situation where we are feeling that one of the options, like you say, that we'd like to have available is not available.
Yeah.
Can we turn that into, well, while I'm waiting for that to be available,
can I try something?
Could I try something else?
And knowing, and perhaps I know that I didn't know very much about other options until I got involved in this work, and then because of that I've met lots of people, and I've found people
and we've had some great guests on the show that have done all sorts of different things, and some of them we've personally worked with to try to do things like that, and
some things I like more than others, and some things other people like more than others, but I do think it's interesting to have that sort of slightly broader thing. So we're just saying, I don't know what we're really saying. We're saying, it's like, because it's so important to have our health.
Yes.
And without turning to something we always know and trust, we feel out of control,
bereft,
lost, bereft, frightened, concerned, and worried.
Angry.
Whereas actually, I think there's some very useful things, and people. One of the ones I really think is very powerful is Chinese herbs. I think they're very good. You have to go to a proper Chinese herbalist. I think acupuncture is very good for me. Other people find other things differently. But I would sort of say, try those and have something else in your pocket.
Yes.
So that you don't feel those awful
emotions.
That feels dull. That feel lost.
But I think there is that. Have a look at. Ask your friends. That's the thing. I mean, what have they found useful? What might work? What's worked for them? Ask your family, whatever it is, just see and just see what turns up. Because it's quite often that I've actually tried things just because I've happened to meet somebody in a network.
Yes.
And we had a conversation and we get on, and I kind of think, I'd like to work with her.
And you can definitely rule things in and out.
Yeah.
So when you need it, it will be there. But I think it's
and if your logical brain is kind of having a fit and kind of going, okay, don't try that one.
No. Or try it and think, I knew it didn't work, and it didn't.
Yeah, then you can feel right.
And you can cross it off your list.
So see how you can turn it around. If you're in that situation, maybe try something else.